Dylan, come here real quick. Come here. Hold on. If somebody said that we're getting our Avengers back by the injuries that are coming back,
Sure.
who would you compare Arraez, Jason Heyward, and Jackson Merrill to in terms of an Avenger?
I've never really watched Avengers, to be
See,
honest
not a
with you.
nerd. He's a nerd in other ways.
I do play RuneScape sometimes. That's a little nerdy. And disc
But
golf.
you don't know.
I mean, I think it was just, we felt lonely out there. We missed our guys. And, we missed them in the clubhouse. They were gone for a whole week, and we just felt empty.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Marty Time TV. I am Marty Caswell. I believe it is Tuesday. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching this, whenever you're watching this. I'm delighted to go ahead and welcome into the show AJ Cassavell from New York. I am peering through your window. It does not appear to be raining, but perhaps I'm just seeing things. AJ, how are you? How's everything?
Not raining. Hopefully it's not raining tonight. Everything is good. I don't know. I was not on the first part of this trip in Pittsburgh. I will be in Denver this weekend, but we'll see how many rain delays we can pack into 9 games. It seems like they're going for. I'm not allowed to. I now, granted, I'm in New York and I travel around the country, see all my MLB.com teammates. They always tell me I'm not allowed to complain about rain delays because I live in San Diego and get so few of them. But it does seem to be like we're packing a lot in on this trip. It
does. Maybe actually the Padres are secretly rooting for. I know the beat reporters are not, because it just gives you guys. I mean, you're writing your stories late into the evening, but the Padres they're flourishing in rain delay theater. So whatever it seems to be working. AJ, by the way, we are brought to you by the all new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. There are no shortage of topics when it comes to this road trip and also to what we saw last night. I'm going to go ahead and start with a player that is returning officially, we believe, today, and that would be Jackson Merrill. What can you tell us about Jackson Merrill as he returns to the Padres?
Yeah, the plan is for him to return and to be in the lineup. That obviously hasn't happened yet. It's not official. I don't think there would be any reason for it to be official until we get closer to game time, and we're definitely playing tonight, so the Padres don't have to make a move or whatever. Yeah, it's obviously a big deal. The fact that they're half a game behind the best record in the major leagues, without having had him and a couple other guys for a big stretch of the last month, is even more impressive. Jackson Merrill in some ways is kind of the driving force of the energy that the Padres pretty clearly play with every single night, but that energy still exists when he's not there, which I think is a testament to kind of what's been built with this particular team.
August, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of my nephew. I'm distracted right now. I had to jump into today's conversation. August is my nephew. I'm looking at my notes, right? And we were watching the game yesterday when Tatís gets ejected, and when Mike Shildt has just an absolute meltdown, which was fun theater to go ahead and watch. And so he's asking, what's happening? Why is he leaving this game? Why is he yelling? Why is he almost like foaming at the mouth? So I just said, listen, Mike Shildt said a really, really bad word, which is why you can't say bad words in school to your teacher, because then they suspend you, then you get ejected. So that was my life lesson for my nephew. How impressive was the ejection yesterday? I know a lot of fans will say, listen, this is the reason why the Padres won. They did have 2 runners on base. Tatís had wow, remarkable. The first career ejection, is that right? For Fernando Tatís? Very impressive.
First one. He says he's had a couple in winter ball, where I guess it's a little more common, but afterward, I think just reading his body language. Now we asked him what he said and whether it warranted an ejection, and he said he forgot, was his exact response. But like reading his body language, I think he kind of he said, I don't know, like I didn't know what to expect when I said what I said. Right. I think he was kind of accepting of the ejection, like whatever he said warranted it. That being said, I think Mike Shildt was like, he was never not going to go out there, because he didn't. In the moment, he didn't know. In the moment, he didn't know what Tatís had said, or I don't even know if he still does. But he was always going to go out there and defend his players. And as much as the Padres want to say, like we're like that fired us up, that sparked us. I think this team has enough of a fire and a spark anyway. Like they might have come back anyway without Mike Shildt going on his tirade, but the tirade was good theater. Like throwing the glasses is a new move. I hadn't seen that one before, and I also appreciate, as a fellow glasses wearer, I appreciate that he threw them and said that he wanted to make sure they stayed in the grass as opposed to getting into the dirt and getting scratched. So the glasses ended up being okay. So I thought I don't know, it was all pretty good theater. I think I don't know what Tatís said, but I think it's pretty clear that he felt accepting of the ejection, but also the Padres were unhappy with the way that game was umpired, and Mike Shildt wanted to get his money's worth, and he got his money's worth. That was an all-timer of an ejection. Sometimes manager goes out there and yells. Sometimes they do something that is memorable, and Mike did so yesterday.
AJ, are you saying that Mike Shildt, in his anger, right? In his anger, and when he loses it, he really, really loses it. He had the presence of mind during that rage and during all that rain to make sure that the glasses landed safely in the grass, because you guys, as a glassware, which you are, I have them as well. I pack them somewhere in my room. I mean, those are gold. You have to it takes a long time to get your glasses back and to find the right frame and to make sure that they fit your face correctly.
Yeah, I look at the replay. He comes out, he's angry. He throws the lineup card. He throws the pen. And those are I wouldn't even call the glasses a throw. It's more kind of like a flip. So he's mad, and then he's like, I'm mad, but I need to make sure these glasses are okay. So it's a flip, and I think the effect is still there of how angry he is without ruining the glasses. It's just like the perfect needle to thread. He did good. Respect to Mike Shildt on keeping the glasses intact.
Every great team, every playoff team, they have a handful or more of signature wins. I realize it's May 6th right now, but what we saw yesterday in New York, right? And I know the Yankees have blown a bunch of games. They have 5 blown games when they're leading from the 8th inning or more later this season, which is like leading baseball, which is hard to do, which is like the opposite of what the Padres do. But how big a win, how impressive was yesterday's win for the Padres?
Yeah, this was the signature win because the other one I think you could say is maybe that Cubs win at Wrigley, but I just think this one was a little more. There's a little more to it. It's the type of game that you can get to the 8th inning and be like, man, it's just not our day. It's been rainy all day. It's been miserable. And it's a long season. You don't need to. Not every single game is going to be tight and competitive. If you're down 3-0 in the 8th inning on the road in a tough environment against a good team, I'm not going to excuse mailing it in, but you can say this just isn't our day. And the Padres don't ever seem to say, well, this just isn't our day. Sometimes it isn't, but they don't seem to think that, at least until the very end, until it's not. And there's a million cliches to go along with that, but it's just kind of true of this team. They're down by 3 runs in the 8th inning. Well, if you're going to walk Tyler Wade, if Tyler Wade's going to work a walk and Brandon Lockridge is going to get on base with a single, it's not going to be you're going to have to don't do those things. You're going to have to deal with a team that's ready to come back and that hasn't given up on where the game's going, where the night's going, no matter what the weather is, no matter how late at night it is. And they last night's comeback was the one in Chicago was a really good one.
Yes.
I think they were down in that one too in similar ways, and it was freezing. But this one, I think, just had a little extra oomph to it. This one was this is probably the signature win of the season so far.
I also think it was a signature moment for Xander Bogaert since he became a Padre. And I'm sure I'm overlooking some moments since he signed, right? I mean, they've been in the playoffs twice, but I can't think of a bigger moment for Xander Bogaert. AJ, we spent so much time when you've joined me all these weeks talking about his struggles and getting him going and how he may never live up to the contract that the Padres signed him to. But what, first and foremost, has been the adjustment for Xander Bogaert since we talked over the last week?
Yeah, I think part of it's just when he's going through those struggles, he got a little chase happy, and that slider on the outside corner, I mean, you just rein that in a little bit. That goes a long way toward getting closer to the Xander Bogaerts that you want to that you want to have, and that can be a productive player. I think we talked about it last week. The contract is what it is, but you can still get a very useful, productive player out of that contract, even if it's not living up to every dollar and cent that he signed for. And that was the version last night. You look at some of his clutch numbers he had in Boston. They were really, really, really good, and they've been poor since he got to San Diego. Whether that's specifically trying to live up to the contract, I don't know. I think he's had some big moments. With the Padres, they're just fewer, and they haven't come at times where they've like led to any like massive. I don't know, at any critical juncture of a season. I know he had that walk-off home run during that September stretch a couple of years ago when they were going on a run trying to get back in the playoff race. That was the one that came to my mind. I think like it was way too early to write off Xander Bogaerts as like just not having it this year. And like he still can be like he had a 790 OPS in 2023. Like if the Padres get a 790 OPS with like average to just slightly subpar shortstop, that's an extremely useful player. He'll get some more big hits. He's going to probably be hitting 5th or 6th in the lineup when everybody's healthy, which is probably where you want that type of hitter to be. That's a super useful number 6 hitter. And like kind of the way the team fills in around him, like he can be a guy that comes up with big hits. I think another part of it is it was all on him and Manny Machado and Fernando Tatís Jr.
Yes.
Like there was no one else in that lineup that was going to necessarily be driving in runs when all those guys were hurt. And he came up in a few big spots and didn't do it, and it was very noticeable. Whereas you got Jackson Merrill ahead of you and Luis Arraez in the lineup, it becomes a little it's less noticeable when he struggles, and maybe it's a little easier to get out of those struggles because they are less noticeable.
It was very easy to go ahead and magnify when he wasn't producing, right? When he had the final flyout, like when they were swept by the Rays at home, when you didn't have Arraez and you didn't have Heyward. So yeah, he was an easy target. And I also think that his first home run of the season, his first 3 RBI game since August, I feel like it lifted like a mental weight off his shoulders. And that's a real thing in sports, man. I know he's talked openly about not living up to his own expectations. So good for him. I think he has been on the Padres postgame show 3 straight nights. So hopefully he can keep it going. We'll see what happens. All right. This could be an outdated question by the time that some people watch this, but any expectation as to who goes down when Jackson Merrill is? And can you I know Brandon Lockridge is, of course, activated, and he had an impact yesterday. The Padres want to see a lot more of Oscar Gonzalez. What's the case for one over the other if it comes down to one of those 2 players?
Well, Campusano is also in the mix. I think there's three right-handed bats, Campusano, Lockridge, and Gonzalez, who I would like. I think Tyler Wade has earned the right to stay on the team since, he basically filled in for Jackson Merrill pretty expertly, and he can do so many things utility-wise. You can bring him off the bench to run. You can put him at any position as a backup. He takes a pretty good at-bat against right-handed pitching. Like Tyler Wade was the guy who essentially filled in for Jackson Merrill when Merrill got hurt, and he earned his way to stay onto the team.
Yes, he did.
So then you have 3 righty bats who, like, they're not redundant. They all fill different roles a little bit. So the question is kind of what are the Padres after? And Tyler Wade's skill set bleeds into Lockridge's skill set a little bit. That being said, Lockridge is an outstanding outfield defender who I think they can use to come in games. And I think you saw kind of the value he brings. He got on. It was interesting. The Yankees got the out at second on a force out yesterday. I forget who was running. I think it was Elias Diaz. And Brandon Lockridge got to first base because he beat it out because he's the fastest guy on the team. And it's just like, should they have just gotten the out at first base? Should they have just gotten Brandon Lockridge out? Because he's just going to steal second base, and now you have a faster guy on second base. And that was a thought that went through my head. So, like, that's a useful skill set. Oscar Gonzalez took some great at-bats yesterday. I think he only had 1 hit, but he hit some balls really hard and was a really kind of tough out. And Campusano, like, I don't want to knock him for that read on the ball in the dirt yesterday. Like there's some questionable things that you can ask about Campusano's skill set, but trying to come home on that one, I watched from different angles a couple times. It blatantly went past the catcher. He read the right thing. The ball hit the umpire, I think, in the knee and just popped up and landed right in front of the plate. That's just really bad luck. So I'm not going to ding Campusano for that. I do think if you're looking for like who brings the most versatility and value, it's probably Lockridge, Gonzalez, then Campusano. So if that's where you want to draw the line, that is the one. But like, he's been raking at AAA and hasn't necessarily gotten that much of a chance in the big leagues yet to kind of see if that carries over. I don't know. I don't know the answer. And like you said, this might be an outdated question in like an hour
minutes,
or two.
like
but it's
right
an
now.
interesting. But it's one worth asking, and it's one I'm sure the Padres have had conversations about and they're trying to figure out.
Yeah, I'm sure. And I'm sure fans would much rather go ahead and wrestle with those three options and talking about, Gurriel, what's his role with his team. We found out last week he was one of the earlier moves. Staying on the Campusano topic, and I think we've said before that, and Mike Shildt said, last week in that last homestand that it's working right now with the catchers that they do have, right? When you have a great pitching staff, you always look at who's behind the plate. So if you get offense from your catchers, it's just an added bonus. So barring injury, I'd be shocked to see Campusano in that role. What do you think his role is going forward with this organization? Are we kind of watching it right now? DH, maybe a spot start here and there. Is that what they envision for him, or is that just still too soon to go ahead and tell?
I think they still envision catching for him. But like you said, there's no reason to shake this up. I don't care. I don't care how bad Maldonado is at the plate. I don't care if Diaz struggles more than he is now. Like, this pitching staff is really good. They've allowed the fewest runs in baseball by a lot. Clearly what those guys are doing is having an effect on those pitchers. And even if you think that effect is minimal, is not that much, like, it's a mindset thing. The pitchers love throwing to those guys, and what they're doing is working. They're under no circumstances should the Padres change what they're doing in run prevention, and your catchers, who's catching these pitchers, is a big part of that run prevention. The game planning, the strategizing, the managing the game pitch by pitch, figuring out what to call or when to go out. Like, there's a lot that goes into it, and you can believe that some of that is overstated. And I believe that some of the intangibles that get ascribed to catchers in some ways are a little overrated, but in some ways they're not. And so, like, these are really valuable parts of a cohesive unit right now, that from like the pitching coach to the game planning people to the catchers to the pitchers is operating better than any other unit in the major leagues. It's the best run prevention group right now in baseball. They're allowing the fewest runs. They're doing so against some pretty good offenses lately. Don't change it up. Campusano, if he's here, should be kind of in that mode that he is.
I would completely agree. I'm sure that the pitchers will protest if any such made is made. We're talking to AJ Cassavell from MLB.com. He is somewhere in New York where it is not raining. We are actually being brought to you by the all-new Hamul Casino Resort,
Still not
the
raining.
Players' Place. It's not raining, or it is raining?
Not raining.
It's still not raining.
Looks sunnier than it's been the whole time I've been here. So
that's amazing. Also, it's not raining
Baseball
here in San
tonight.
Diego. We had a lot of misty weather the past couple of days, which of course we complain about as San Diegans. AJ, what is as the roster is currently constructed? What is Jason Heyward's role going forward?
he's the platoon left fielder. And I think it's as simple as that. Like, he's pretty good defensively, fine against right-handed pitching. And yeah, he can platoon with, like we just talked about who the right-handed bats would be. One of those guys, Oscar Gonzalez potentially, Lockridge potentially if Merrill's in center. I don't know who it is, but I like he's brought enough value in terms of the clubhouse and the defense and just enough at the plate that I think he's the lefty bat that kind of balances things out as a platoon guy. And I don't think you're going to see him playing 9 innings all the time. I don't think you're going to see him playing 9 innings maybe most of the time. Maybe there's a lefty in there and you pinch hit for him. Maybe he's the guy that pinch hits for the righty. But I just kind of think it's a, what is it? The David Peralta role. Peralta did it better last season. But it's early and we'll kind of see how it plays out.
Okay, you talked about Tyler Wade earning a role, earning his spot on this roster, which he absolutely has. How about Stephen Kolek? What did he show in his last start, and what do the Padres envision from him moving forward? Is it Kolek over Hart, or was it just given where they are right now with the scheduling? Yeah,
part of it was the scheduling. They couldn't recall Kyle Hart, and I think they had planned for someone to make that start. It was interesting that they did it in Pittsburgh. Now it's going to be Stephen Kolek in Colorado. So let's see how that one goes. I mean, that's
always
like,
fun.
It's obviously a tough place to pitch.
Yeah.
And he knows that. He pitched there last year in the bullpen. I'm not going to read whatever happens there. We just talked about how good they are at run prevention. Whatever happens there, I'm not going to read too much into it, but Like there's clearly a lot to like, and I think there's also a lot to like with the way they handled him. Not just throwing him in the rotation, like knowing that he needed a little bit more time to develop into like what it takes, like a rhythm and a routine, and blending those pitches and how to do that as a starting pitcher. And then they called him up and he was excellent. So as of right now, he looks like the number 5 starter. He's here. He's going to get that opportunity. It's interesting because Yu Darvish, whenever he comes back, and I'm going to ask Mike Shildt for the latest on him today.
Okay, that was my next question.
It's like I think they're building Yu Darvish up for the end of the month. Early June, like that stretch is like such a critical stretch in the season because of how few off days they have and the teams that they're playing. It's going to be really tough. So part of it is win as many games as you can now to set yourself up into a decent position for that stretch, which is going to be tough. You're going to lose games. You're probably going to lose series. It's going to be like you're going to have to fire some bullets on the pitching end that maybe you don't want to do in the rest of it. So you use this time with the off days to do things like calling up Stephen Kolek, letting him get a couple starts, maybe sending him down, going with that 4-man rotation temporarily. They could do it again. I don't know if they will. Part of it might be dependent on Darvish's return, but basically what they're doing now is taking that number 5 spot and just trying to sustain until they can get a healthy Yu Darvish. I think hopefully for that early June stretch is just brutal. Mm-hmm. And if he's healthy for that, that'll be such a humongous boost. And maybe they go with a 6-man for a turn or two in the rotation in that time. I think that like if Stephen Kolek earns it, they're more than happy to give him that shot. They would need to adjust things on the bullpen side. I don't know. That's early June. Who the heck knows what's going to happen in terms of the pitching staff and the injuries by then. But it's
fascinating.
It's really interesting to kind of see like this part of the calendar. The Padres need to rack up wins, and they are doing that. Mm-hmm. They have their there's a lot of bad teams on the schedule. I think fans maybe need to kind of understand this as like looking at the Padres season, and when they go 2-4 in a 6-game stretch in June, but have gone whatever they went in May, like it's going to happen. They're going to go 2-4 in June because it's such a brutal stretch. If they're racking up wins now, like that makes it okay. That makes it worth it. That makes the fact that they went to a 6-man and maybe lost the game here and there in June to keep everyone fresher. It makes it worth it. And they're doing the job. Like these wins that they're banking on this road trip with an off day before it and an off day in the middle of it and then an off day after it. That's what they need to be doing.
We spent so much time talking about, right. And this May schedule, right. This schedule benefits. There's 2 things that are really benefiting them here in the month of May. A softer schedule with the May opponents, Angels, Marlins, I think they will face on the Marlins next road trip or next homestand. But they have a softer schedule. In June, it's Angels, a lot tougher. Yeah. It's the Angels to start, and then I think then the Mariners, right? But they also play the Angels, Mariners. Okay.
I'm pulling it up right now, actually.
Okay, good.
It's like the June teams that are bad that are on the schedule. The Pirates, they swept them. Then they have the Rockies, the Angels. Mm-hmm. The Blue Jays are not having a great season. Then the Marlins, and then the Pirates again at home. Like those are series that you should be taking 2 or 3 out of, and if you can, sweeping them. And the Padres are doing that. They're doing exactly what they need to be doing with this portion of the schedule so far.
They're giving themselves some insurance for how tough that schedule is going to be in June and the lack of the off days. So it's all shaping up. I love this discussion. Couple of things. Yesterday when Trent Grisham homered off the Padres off Nick Pivetta, which by the way, you did. I'm going to tell. Okay, so as you guys know, I sit next to AJ Cassavell in the press box, and we were talking about this road trip and the Yankees, and he mentioned, Trent. Look, have you seen Trent Grisham's numbers? I was stunned. Like Trent Grisham is having like an all-star season, right? He has like the second highest average and home runs behind Aaron Judge on the New York Yankees. So of course it was the most predictable thing yesterday that he just hits a bomb yesterday, a home run off Pivetta, gives the Yankees a nice cushion. What's happened with Trent Grisham? How did this move benefit him?
That's a great question. I would like to talk to him actually at some point in the next couple of days and find out. I'm just looking at his numbers. Yeah. I think the big gripe Padres fans with him was he was just not aggressive enough at the plate. Like he took a lot of pitches. He watched a lot of pitches. He struck out a lot because he was watching pitches, waiting for his pitch. He's been more aggressive this year. He's swinging more. And in 2020, Trent Grisham was awesome. And that was what he did well then. And I don't know what it was. I don't know. I was always a little bit of a a Trent Grisham defender, even through all of his struggles in San Diego, because
Okay.
I thought that like if he was put in the right situations, maybe platooning more and facing righties and used as a defensive replacement, like that was his best role, and that's the role the Yankees are using him in. And when he was a throw-in the Juan Soto trade, I was kind of like, well, what are they going to do in center field? Like, why are they getting rid of Trent Grisham? They have no options in center field. Like, they're giving away the guy who could play center field for them. And then they just found Jackson Merrill, who's like the best center fielder in baseball. So the Padres get a pass for that.
Okay.
For like maybe like not getting the most out of Trent Grisham and then trading him away because they have another center fielder who's incredible.
Right.
But I guess what I'm saying is it doesn't surprise me. It surprises me that Trent Grisham has 1,000 OPS. Like, that's surprising. But it doesn't surprise me if he has a really good season being used in like a part-time face righties defensive replacement type role, because I think that's always probably what he was best designed for.
If you're AJ Prello, you can say, listen, we knew Jackson Merrill was going to be this spectacular this soon. This is why we were able to go ahead and throw in Trent Grisham as a throwaway piece with Juan Soto for Michael King, who of course goes tonight. Yeah,
and they got plenty of value in return in that trade. They traded away Juan Soto, and like Michael King is an ace. Michael King is one of the best pitchers in baseball right now. So it's like, I think that the Padres can feel fine knowing what they would have had to pay Trent Grisham because of where he was in his arbitration scale. And like, obviously, it would be useful if you had a left-handed hitting elite defensive center fielder who had 1,000 OPS on the roster. But wait, the Padres do have that. They have that in Jackson Merrill. So I guess it's fine.
Okay, a couple more things. I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Jake Garriani of CBS, local CBS yesterday, right? Padres are undefeated since they got Luis Arraez back, who's openly talked about wanting to go ahead and stay with, one team and not be traded and change teams every single year. And of course, Michael King is up after the season. I'm sure that the New York media is talking to him about, hey, what do you think about, returning to New York after this season? Which one, if the Padres could sign only one, who is it?
Arraez. It's not a Padres thing, I don't think. I think who's more likely to re-sign is Luis Arraez. I think Michael King. Have you look at what pitchers are getting on the open market?
Oh yes.
They're just making a lot, and rightfully so, because it's hard to find really good starting pitchers. And Michael King keeps establishing himself as this elite starting pitcher. He's going to make a lot of money in free agency. It's not going to be honestly, the Padres got a little bit of a discount with what they got for Joe Musgrove, and it's just starting pitching is just hard to find in free agency. So I would guess that of the two, Luis Arraez is the one that I think some teams are going to question what his skill set is. And I also think the Padres know that his skill set is extremely valuable to what they're trying to do. That match just matches up a little more. I mean, that's not to say if the Padres could have either one of them long term, I think maybe you'd rather have that frontline ace,
right?
But that frontline ace is going to make more in free agency and going to kind of at this point, I think it's more likely that Luis Arraez is back, even though I don't know. I would say the odds Michael King is going to reach free agency, and I think he's going to test the free agent market. That just seems very likely at this point. Luis Arraez, I don't know. Padres have been cryptic, and he's been cryptic about whether there's any extension possibilities. At this point, it's rare you get an extension like this at this time of the season, but it happened with Musgrove a few years ago. So I guess we'll see. But I would just say of the two, Arraez is most likely to be a long-term Padre.
AJ, thank you for all this time that you're giving us. One last thing. I know you were not in Pittsburgh for when Tatís had the Tatís game and the Tatís win, but what jumps out at you at how spectacular there aren't many players that can do what he did to single-handedly win that game. We're just seeing an elite version of Tatís, aren't we?
The fun part is it's a different thing every night. He's a legitimate 5-tool superstar, and people throw around 5-tool as too often. Not everyone who's called a 5-tool player is a 5-tool player. Fernando Tatís Jr. is, and they're all pretty spectacular. The throw he made the other day to the plate, the home game, I think it was against Tampa Bay, outstanding. One night it's his arm, and then the next night it's what he does on the bases, and he's very instinctual with it all. He understands when to break for home, and he understands when he's throwing the ball, the way he has to contort his body to do it. It's he's thinking the game as fast as he's playing the game, and that's really, really fun to watch. Like that's the kind of player I just want to like. Even if you can have any player in baseball, I mean, you can hit like Aaron Judge can, and I'm sure that is wonderful for people who watch him on a nightly basis to watch.
Right.
But just aesthetically, like, is there a more fun player to watch than Fernando Tatís Jr.? I don't think so.
There's not. I completely agree with you. All right, AJ Cassavell. Thanks for joining me. You're in New York. Hopefully you have some time to eat some good food. I'm sure you have your familiar spots that you go to when you're there. By the way, real quick, during the rain delay yesterday, did you spend more time watching? Is it the Knicks or the Met Gala? Is it Gala or Gala? I've never understood that word. Gala?
I did not watch whatever the Gala was. I don't think I watched the Knicks either. I think I put on Cubs. It was such a short rain delay. I think I just put on Cubs Giants. It was the early part of the Knicks game. So it was I wasn't into it. But it was kind of cool to see the fans at Yankee Stadium, like all of a sudden there was just a buzz in the crowd. I was like, oh, did the Knicks win? And they did. So it was that was basically how I found out.
All right, AJ Cassavell, go enjoy your day. Thank you so much. We look forward to reading you again tomorrow. You can find all his excellent work on the Twitter and, of course, on Padres.com. All right, AJ, have a great trip. See you, Monday, Petco Park, Angels.
Yep, see you then, Marty. Looking forward to it.
All right, see ya. All right, that's AJ Cassavell of MLB.com. That was a really, really fun conversation. I don't know why I'm a little bit surprised that he said that the Padres would be more likely to sign Luis Arraez and Michael King. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. He's just saying in terms of bank and value and what starting pitchers are getting on the market, especially elite starting pitchers. So that's Michael King, who goes tonight versus the Yankees. And hopefully we are also talking about the official return of Jackson Merrill. Of course, he was there in New York yesterday, but Mike Shildt said that it was a scheduled off day after his rehab in San Antonio. So, all right, guys, thank you for joining me so much. This was a very, very fun conversation, man. What a great win. What a great signature win for the Padres yesterday. And very glad that Mike Shildt's glasses survived him throwing, because he made sure to throw them methodically on the grass. All right. We are brought to you again by the all-new Hamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. Thanks for joining me, Padres fans. And I look forward to talking to you tomorrow. Bye.
Just winning some ball games, man. We're back to ourselves. Obviously we got some help, and we got some healthy guys back in the lineup that made it a lot better. But our pitching staff did a really good job, man. And offensively, we hit with runners in scoring position. Like I said last weekend, we didn't take advantage of those spots. We had opportunities to score some runs, and we didn't. We didn't do it. And we made an adjustment this series, and we came out with 2 victories.
The adjustment, Luis Arraez and Jason Heyward. The adjustment with runners in scoring position.
I mean, I think it was just we felt lonely out there. We missed our guys. And we missed them in the clubhouse. They were gone for a whole week, and we just felt empty. And they were back, so they're a big part of our ball club, and they bring a lot of energy.